And welcome in everybody to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all so much for joining us here on this Wednesday evening, or if it happens to be one of your favorite places to catch podcasts later on in the week. March Madness is officially here, and you know what? I guarantee we will not have the two worst brackets you will ever seen. I'm not saying they'll be good, but I'm guaranteeing they won't be the worst, considering, well, some of them are egregious, and those are usually people that spend the most time on it. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelcey, as it is time for the one sporting event of the year where the less you know, the better off you are. The more time you put into this, the worse your bracket seems to go, as opposed to people like, ooh, a pretty mascot. Pretty mascot. Ooh, I know Beyonce likes Houston, so we'll put Houston in the championship. And it works.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, at least we're not going to have replacement referees like the NFL is talking about getting right now. So at the end, we're still better than that. I will guarantee myself we'll be better than replacement referees from high school yet again. And by the way, if you have a high school refereeing position for open, go get your license updated so that way you can get paid $85,000 to go referee in the NFL next year. So congratulations. But yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm excited for March Madness as always. It's one of the more fun times, more fun sports tournaments. We talked about our keep 3, cut 9 conversation before. Easily March Madness is one of those that I want to keep. So yeah, definitely win my top 3, and it's not number 3.
The tough part is Tyrese Halliburton saying you pick one bracket and you stand on that one. You only get to fill out one and you stand by that one. I don't think I could do that even if I wanted to. It's just too much fun to fill them out at that point too. I'll pick one that's the main one. We'll stand on that one, but there will be some side hoes when it comes to the brackets. There will always be some side hoes.
Yeah, look, I break rules all the time. This is one of those rules I break for sure. So I already have 4, and I'm probably going to fill out 2 more. And who knows? I might just go really crazy and just go ask ChatGPT one day, hey, pick all of the favorites or pick all of the best odds or upsets that you can and fill out a bracket for me. And I want to compare my bracket to yours. And let's see what happens. Because now it's time to really put up or shut up. Am I smarter than a robot?
What's going to be terrible for you is when you both had the exact same things. That either means you are a robot or that you're both dingbats. Either way, it's not a good look either way.
Either way, somebody's right in my life, and I don't like that.
Hey, you know what? Well, we're going to talk about some upsets coming up as well that will not be robot influenced, but we'll have our own upsets and some other things to take a look at. But first, let's go and get into the opening part of our show. That is the tip-off, and the tip-off is brought to you by good friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BELLYUPSports for $20 off your initial purchase, whether it's sporting events, concert tickets, festivals, comedy shows, anything that requires tickets. Use code BELLYUPSports to get $20 off your initial purchase. And we're going to start off in the NFL, where we got a trade alert and another big one. And of course, it's the AFC West. Jaylen Waddle is heading to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a first, third, and fourth, along with a fourth rounder. So Miami fully embraces we're soft tanking, but it's very obvious about it. We're not really going to hide it, but we're going to pretend to hide it a little bit. We're going to ship off our entire team besides Devin Achane, who they say is unavailable. That's where they draw the line. About 5'6" is where they draw the line. Jaylen Waddle heads to Denver, where I'll make the case this could be the biggest move in the AFC West so far, and that is the AFC West that has included Tyler Linderbaum to the Raiders and K9 to the Chiefs. I think what Jaylen Waddle is going to give them offensively is unparalleled explosiveness that they don't really have outside of the occasional random Marvin Mims out there somewhere, but makes no sense every 7 weeks. I think he gives Courtland Sutton a lot more one-on-one opportunities, which he likes to dunk on people when he gets those. And I think he'll get to see a lot more of those now. And assuming Bo Nix's ankle is still in one piece when the season comes around, there's going to be a lot of dynamic plays available. So Denver's been quiet this offseason, and they made a splash here. And as far as Miami, I'm sorry, Malik Willis, man. I'm sorry. You got the bag. You get your chance to start, but you're alone. You got Devin Achane, and otherwise you're alone. They're paying $169 million to players not on the roster this year. They've accepted the medicine. They've accepted the soft tank. They're trusting the process right now really quick. So good move for the Broncos. Not a bad move for the Dolphins either. If they're going to tank, this is the way to do it. I mean, you get a first, a third, and a fourth. That's 2 first-round picks, an extra third. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with these picks. It feels like they're trying to trade up in the draft is with this group of picks. I mean, these are this year's draft picks. So it does feel like they're trying to do something, package them together. Maybe they're trying to do something magical in the draft. I wouldn't be shocked. It's the Dolphins we're talking about, but I also wouldn't be shocked because it's the Dolphins we're talking about if nothing happens. And it is a quiet tanking, and they just decide to get offensive linemen or something, which is, hey, I love it as an offensive lineman guy. But you know what? No, I'm hoping they're doing something because, yeah, like you said, Malik Willis got a bag just to have nothing to throw it to. But Washington is going to be your best option in there's outside of Devin Achane. that's where you're at right now, which, okay, cool. Good luck. But yeah, for Denver, this almost feels like well, they offered it to us type of deal. So why not? It's not like we needed a whole lot of other things to get better. I mean, we were already a really good team. We're already in the AFC Championship game. Like, they already feel like they're that team right now going into next year. So getting Jaylen Waddle makes for them just kind of more weapons. Because let's not forget, Tony Franklin came on last year as the number 2 option for Denver, and he's been a really good number 2 option. Their just tight ends have stepped up and been really good for Bo Nix. And, honestly, the run game is probably the weakest part of the Denver Broncos right now. And that's not a bad situation, but it showed in the AFC Championship game, like, what happens if you don't have a run game. So this feels like almost just Sean Payton being like, I want all the weapons again, like it used to do in New Orleans, where he had 4 receivers that could probably walk away and be number 1 just based off of the usage rate they had. But yeah, I mean, I like it for the Broncos. For the Dolphins, I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I think, honestly, this is one, if I'm in the GM's shoes, I'm looking at this as packaging this to a higher number 1 overall draft pick potentially. And also, your comment about this is the biggest move in the AFC. I guess we're just going to completely ignore the Max Crosby did he not go move.
Well, he didn't move. He just took a vacation. He took a day off. He didn't move. He's still there.
No, he definitely moved, and then
he got up and he took a flight to DC and then a long car ride to Baltimore because we're not going to get into that one. Apparently, couldn't even get him to the facility. But if he was gone, that would be different. But since he came back, I gave it its own category of WTF.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just make the joke because it's like, obviously things have happened in the AFC West, and it's the conference where we're looking at as like, man, there's really good quarterbacks, and there's going to be a younger, potentially generational quarterback coming into the league. We'll leave that up for your own debate. But a really good rookie coming in at the quarterback position who's a Heisman Trophy winner, and he's joining a conference or division that has some pretty good quarterbacks in it that have shown, there's a young upstart quarterback in Bo Nix, who has had a very high floor to start with. You've had Justin Herbert, who has been arm talent wise one of the best quarterbacks, and then unfortunately he just hasn't had a team around him for a long time, and coaching and his own problems getting in the way of injuries. But then you have Patty in that same division where you're like, okay, well, crap. And then all that to say that let's not forget Justin Fields also just ended up in the AFC West. So now you have 4 quarterbacks and a guy named Justin Fields, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. But I'm excited for the AFC West this next year. I think it's going to be what the NFC West was this year, where you have 3 really, really good teams, and then a 4th, like, what WTF are you doing? But
can't wait to see that WTF team. One of these teams is going to be really what? If it's not the Raiders, it's even more what?
It might be the Broncos but no, I do think for the Broncos, I mean, this just feels like Sean Payton doing what Sean Payton does, which is, I want weapons, and here he goes.
I'm excited to see Jaylen Waddle back in arguably a receiver 1 role again, as opposed to playing like the sidekick with Tyreek Hill. It will depend how they do it with him and Cortland Sutton, 1A, 1B, but I think it'll be a little more close because we saw a rookie year. I think he set the rookie record for receptions at like 112. Then Tyreek came in here, and there was those weeks where just like, Jaylen Waddle's out there too. No, throwing it to number 10, throwing it to number 10, throwing it to number 10. I want to see what he's like now that he can get more of a target share, and the way Sean Payton calls games too. It's a lot more open field comparatively. So I'm excited to see what he's like in that role because we haven't seen that in a very long time.
Well, he probably has a long way to go to be a real true number 1, but it's going to be funny because how Sean Payton runs his offense, he'll get a usage rate of a number 1 with maybe yardage of a number 2, maybe really a 1B. Like, realistically, you look at the depth chart, it's like Cortland Sutton and then everybody else. I think Cortland Sutton is still number 1. And then you have Jalen right behind him, I think is where he feels. But also, I mean, look, Tony Franklin, where does he fit into this gap? Where does he actually fill in? Who was a true number 2 last year, at the end of last year? So can he continue that pace with Jalen, without Jalen? I don't know. But I mean, usage rate, yeah, they're all 3 probably going to be up there in the number 1 category of usage rate, and it's going to be kind of wild.
If what Jalen was waiting for was the chance to start anew, and he gets to do the penguin waddle and mile high in the snow, which just makes all the sense in the world, then the Broncos might have just got the best receiver in the division for a trade if he does reach up to that potential as well. Or you could even make the case they have the 2 best receivers in the division. For all we talk about the AFC West quarterbacks, not the deepest receiver division, not counting Rashee Rice because I don't know what. That's its own issue that he has going on right now. He can't. Every time he gets hurt, something bad happens. So we're gonna just leave that one alone. But we'll be curious to see. I'm excited to see Jaylen Waddle a mile high. It's going to be they're going to be interesting if Bo Nix comes back 100% because they didn't lose a lot of players. They mostly just kept their guys, and they didn't bring in anybody new. There's like, now we'll run it back. Oh, by the way, throw in Waddle too. We'll run it back with a little extra juice. We'll throw a rocket jet on it with Patrick injured. The Raiders in flux and the Chargers really their own biggest enemy. So we'll see. Yeah. And, the infirmary room definitely does the Chargers in every single year. So I'm excited. I think Denver's holds themselves right at the top of the AFC with this move too. I think if there's any chance of them dipping, I think this at least holds them there, which is weird because they still have the third best odds to win the AFC West as of right now, which is like plus 180 to plus 170 to plus 205. Like they're all right there in a cluster, but interesting with Denver. We will see. I'm excited to see what they do as well, but let us know down below what you all think of this move. If the Denver got demonstrably better, worse, or who cares? It's the Broncos, which that'd be the wrong take, but you have the right to say whatever you want, but they're not the only receivers. On the move is the Eagles making a receiver move of their own, bringing in Hollywood Brown to Philadelphia. Does that mean another Brown receiver is on the move now? I don't think so, Nets. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But I like Hollywood Brown heading to Philadelphia. Speaking of having a jetpack on their back, he's still one of the fastest receivers in the NFL. Has been wildly inconsistent for the most part, but he still can outrun just about anyone in straight line or across the field if he gets a full head of steam. Which, if you have to go against Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts in that run game, one of those safeties takes one step too many downhill to try and stop the run, and suddenly Hollywood out there somewhere, and then if they try and run back for that, A.J. Brown comes in right behind them or vice versa. So it's a good move. You didn't pay a lot from Hollywood. The idea of Hollywood Brown is great. And execution has been up and down. We all know that game against the Lions where he dropped 3 touchdowns that Lamar put in the breadbasket. But then other moments like last year, he caught 5 touchdowns for the Chiefs. So it's a good move for Philly. If this is their A.J. Brown replacement, if they do plan on moving him, well, they still got some work to do then. They got a little bit more to do at that point. But I like the move for now with how they're presently constructed.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still not sold on Hollywood in the NFL anymore. I feel like, and that seems mean and harsh, but he's been a journeyman since he left Baltimore. And it's not been great anywhere. I mean, it's been okay. It's fine. It's average NFL receiver. But is that what Philly needs? Is an average NFL receiver to go behind AJ and Devontae? Like, is that what they need? No.
That's what they have with Jahan Dotson, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like you just keep filling in a guy who's right now average NFL, but he's fast speed-wise. And you're just hoping one of these guys gets to the end zone, right? Like you've been trying to do this since you mistakenly didn't draft Justin Jefferson. But I don't know. I'm not sold on this for Philly. I think this is just one move. Like they're like, why not? Type of move. I think again, this is another team that has a lot of other holes, and I don't think the third wide receiver on your team is a hole. And let's be honest, if you do move AJ, is Hollywood going to fill that role, or is Devontae going to move into the one, and then Hollywood's going to fill into Devontae's shoes? Because Devontae's shoes are a big set of shoes to fill as a number 2. Because we just talked about Waddle being really a 1B in Denver. Well, Devontae's a 1B. He's not a 2. And if you're going to move a 1, you need to get a solid 2 or another 1. And Hollywood's not. So this makes me question what the Eagles are doing. It just kind of feels like hey, he's out there. We need speed. Like, okay, let's go get speed. And that's okay, fine. But don't move AJ, make AJ happy, which I don't know. Maybe their other move with Andy Dalton is going to be the intention of making AJ happy. He's going to come in on 3rd down and throw 40-yard bombs to, AJ. I don't know. But you have AJ Brown. Yes, he may be a diva. All receivers are divas. They've been divas since the 90s. So shut up if you're saying, oh, they shouldn't be a diva. Shut up. It's been 40 years. Calm down. But he's a talented receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the league. And if you move on from him, what are you going to replace him with? Because Hollywood is not the answer. And I don't know. I question a lot of this move. I shouldn't question the Eagles when they make moves in the offseason. At this point in time, I feel like I'm an idiot for questioning them because they've made so many great moves that I just scratched my head at originally. This one feels like the one that's gone too far. This one feels like we're just doing it to do it and hope it works out. It's like Julio Jones pickup, right? Hopefully you get 1 or 2 touchdowns out of him in the year. That's all I can hope for. Because really, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm like scratching my head, like, why is this happening? I don't get it. So I don't love it. It's not an Eagles hatred thing. It's just a depth chart thing. I'm I don't understand it from the depth charts perspective. You already struggle with a pass. You're going to bring in another receiver who's not a top quality receiver like AJ or Devontae. And then you're talking about moving one of AJ or Devontae and having Hollywood fill that role. None of that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't get it.
If the goal is to trade AJ Brown after the June 1st when the dead money doesn't hurt as bad, then I kind of think it's kind of weird, and they'll probably have to draft somebody else and hope they get the right pick there, which is always a little dangerous. But if AJ's on the move, then you might as well just get as many bodies in there as you can to try and replace him by committee. Because like you said, there's not even 10 receivers in the NFL better than AJ Brown. You won't find 10. So you can't really replace it with just one guy unless you're somehow getting Justin Jefferson in return, in which case I keep my mouth shut. That history corrects itself, but I don't think that's happening.
You already dropped the ball on Justin Jefferson ending up in Philly once. Like, I don't think they're going to make that. They're going to fix that anymore.
And this is speculation. I'm not even sure he will get traded. And if he does, I don't think it'll be to like trade deadline if they start out. If it boils over. So I think this is just adding speed. You got him for a cheap deal. You're not paying him anything, and his job is run fast. And hopefully Devontae and AJ get all the attention. You get loose. You get 5 touchdowns like he did last year with the Chiefs. It's a great pickup. If he catches 3 passes and gets hurt, then it kind of stinks. But either way, you're not paying him that much either way. So fine move. We'll see what they do with AJ. Then we'll go from there when we see what they do with AJ and in the draft. But how are we going to Howie? I'll leave it at that at this point. They're a spoilment of riches. You can't have every position be outstanding. Eventually something has to give.
Yeah, he's done it so many times that he's pulled magic out of a hat. I don't know if this. I think this is the one that's like the magic is gone for right now. Maybe you missed the hat with this reach.
We'll find out. You know where the magic won't be gone though? Next week in the UFL, as the season is getting ready to kick off, is we will have new teams, new logos, a whole lot of new faces in the UFL. We'll be previewing that all next season as we get ready for kickoff, which will be next Friday. So be sure to tune in next Wednesday as we'll give some of our predictions and breakdowns and take a look at what will be going on in the UFL football season. Can't wait. Football is a year-round sport. Spring football is a thing too. NFL is not year-round, but football is. So definitely be sure to tune in next week for that as well. But we'd be remiss not to mention what happened yesterday on the diamond, as we're going to transition now to baseball. Is the USA, in the most ironic twist, falls to Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic, as Venezuela will take home the trophy, winning 3-2. Kelcey, I'm just going to show you this because you wanted to talk about this, so we're just going to go right into it. You show up, you're ready to go, and what happens? Well, we just described what happens. Bryce Harper does hit an absolute nuke at one point, which is awesome, and it felt like they had a chance, but then after that, it was over. It was Jover. It never quite happened again, but at least we had a classic Bryce Harper nuke, I guess. But USA kind of disappointing after an epic run up until this point.
Yeah, like World Baseball Classic, the last 2 runs at it haven't been great for the US. There's no sugarcoating that anymore. Honestly, okay, I'm going to be really blunt and honest about the USA Baseball surprise. I'm going to be blunt and honest. Who cares, right? Here's the fact. USA is boring. Our baseball is boring. We put out huge athletes, and they don't do jack. They just hit home runs, and that's all they do. They throw the ball really hard, and they hit home runs. That's not baseball. You know why we lost to Venezuela? Venezuela could play the whole game. They played every facet of the game and beat the USA at America's pastime. This is the same thing I talked about with Japan in the last World Baseball Classic. They do the fundamentals at a higher level, and they have fun while doing it. I looked like I was watching a business trip. These guys are walking in game-worn USA gold medal hockey jerseys. First of all, dumb. Don't do that. Don't use a real-life team unless it's a celebration at the end when you're lifting a trophy. Then you do it.
And you're the favorite too, so it's weird to even do that in the first place. When you're the favorite, it's like that's the greatest underdog story ever, arguably, and you're coming in as the favorite.
Yeah, and then on top of that, maybe don't use a real team. Use the Mighty Ducks. Use the Mighty Ducks. That's fine. Walk in Mighty Ducks jersey. Somebody rock. Aaron Judge, rock your Charlie Conway or your Banks jersey. I don't care. Just Banks because he's 99. But I don't care. Don't do it with a real life team who just won a gold medal in the Olympics, which is the world's best sport for America to probably get upset by or get beat by Canada. Canada will dominate that sport forever. And the USA pulled off a victory out of nothing. Well, guess what? Venezuela just beat you at your own game. You were, in this case, the Canadian team, and it didn't work out. But no, I think just in general, looking at the game, I mean, 4 runs in 21 innings, the final 21 innings of play for the USA baseball team, that's not good enough. and all of them came on home runs. There were no manufactured runs. I have jokingly talked about bringing the bunt to the All-Star game like they do in Korea and they do in Japan, because honestly, I don't think 85 to 90% of baseball players today could bunt. I don't think there's anybody that can put the ball halfway up the first baseline or halfway up the third baseline and let it stop on the foul line like they should. It used to be part of every hitting drill. Now they walk into the hitting drill, into the cage, and they hit three out of the park to the left, 3 out of the park to the right, 3 out of the park down the middle, and then 10 out of the park on their pull side. That's what they do. That's a hitting session nowadays. There's no actual finesse to the game, and watching USA Baseball prove that you can pick the biggest, fastest athletes out there. If they can't do the fundamentals of baseball, you will lose the game of baseball. This is what it is. And if you look at that Venezuela roster and you tell me that there are 9 better players that started for Venezuela than there are for the USA, I'm going to call you a liar. There are probably 4 that I'd say are better categorically than some of the players on the USA team that started. But it's fine lines. It's nothing more than that, though. And you got beat fair and square. You were blanked for 7 innings. I don't know what to say anymore. It's just so boring watching them. I'm like, there's no fun. There's no excitement. There's nothing behind the USA team anymore. That's like 2017 with Adam Jones or David Wright's Captain America. None of those teams exist anymore. I don't know if it's just a soulless situation and they're just doing it for, oh, I'm putting the USA jersey on like they do for the Perfect Games tournaments. But this was dumb, and I hated watching every minute of it. And it's not the World Baseball Classic. It's dumb. I love the World Baseball Classic. First of all, bring Ireland to the World Baseball Classic. Do that first. Secondly, it's just dumb watching the USA baseball team not have fun while playing baseball. You're playing a kids game on the world stage, and you are competing at the top of the level, and it's like you're out here in a business meeting. This isn't the Yankees. This is USA baseball, the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes. You are supposed to be dominant at America's pastime, and the only country that should compete with you is, well, there's 2 countries, Dominican Republic or Japan. And it wasn't Japan this year, and it wasn't the Dominican. It's Venezuela.
I think it's official now. USA is a hockey country now.
A golf country, maybe.
Well, I mean, they got a gold medal in hockey. We can claim that for a little bit. Like, you know what, USA, we are hockey is our pastime now. We own it. We lost baseball, but we gained hockey. So
yeah,
it's kind of a lost bet. Most of the people don't.
It's honestly at this point in time, like, I don't even. Who'd you throw out as a starter for yesterday's game? You have Paul Skeens on your roster. You had Skubal, who went back to the Tigers. You have Logan Webb on your roster, who was also probably not able to pitch. Like, what's the point of bringing players in, first of all, that are going to be not able to play in the championship game? And then on top of that, why are you running a prospect turned starter for 2 years that isn't a big household name? That there are 42 other teams, whether you're picking from AAA or the majors, that have starters that are of equal or better quality that you could have picked from. Heck, I would have taken Zach Greinke out of retirement to come pitch for the USA. I just come on, we can do better than this. There is so much opportunity, and it's just like, whatever, we don't care. Now, everybody else cares.
Okay.
No, that's just like everybody else cares other than America. That's all it is.
It'll never happen, but I think it would be really fun if just one time for the USA, if they sent out like minor league or fresh out of college kids or something like that. So like no pros, just send out like single A, triple going against them. I think it'd be funny. Like, because if they actually did better, it would be funny and it'd be a laugh in this case. And if they did poorly, well, and I think that'd be fun to do for this too. It wouldn't make the same. It wouldn't be the same, but it would be fun.
There's a reason baseball is no longer in the Olympics, because the USA won too many times in a row with amateurs.
Which is why we need to throw them in here. You know, sometimes you just need to shake it up backwards. Sometimes you need to do the opposite to get the result that you want. But also, I hate that Skubal was there and pitched the game and then was gone. Like, I hate that. That needs to be figured out too. If you're going to be there, you might as well go through it. So you don't have to pitch every game, obviously. If you're worried about getting banged up, don't go, period. That's why I think it's really, really weird.
Let me be clear. I understand the reasons. I know there's pitch counts. There's ramping up your season. Start your preparation in January. That's my answer to you. If you have a World Baseball Classic, start your preparation in January. You can do that. You're a professional. You can start in January. You can get your arm ready and up to snuff by February 30th or February 28th. March 1st comes around, you'll be good. You'll be able to throw 100 pitches, not 47 pitches. Like, come on. You're a 2-time Cy Young winner, and you get told and I know this is where things get weird. Clubs get involved and they put limitations on everything and the insurance and everything, which is a big complaint this year. I don't care. Do it for the love. You get paid millions and millions of dollars. I'm sure you can afford your own insurance if you get hurt. I know the team doesn't like that. But honestly, I don't care. I don't put the USA jersey on for my club, my team. I put the USA jersey on for the USA.
If you're gonna do it, go all the way through with it. Don't like half-ass it at this point too. And that's where it's just like, and like you said, each pitcher is pitching maybe 2 games throughout the entire classic too. Like it's not like you're pitching 6 in a row. It's not like maybe 3 at the most.
And you're not even pitching 5 innings. You're going 4 1/3. You're going 3 1/3. Like they're not gonna throw you out there for 5 innings. Just go out there for 4 innings and give it all you got for those 4 innings, and we'll bring in another superstar or pitcher right behind you. It's not like we're going to bring in a scrub, but then it's like the championship game hits and we're bringing in a guy who, no offense to him, but who, in comparison to the laundry list of names that could be starting. And that I feel offensive by saying I don't want to discount his abilities, but at the same time, like you have these guys and then you have these guys, and I want these guys, not these guys.
Especially when these guys are here to start with, but by the time we need them, they are gone at that point. That's where it's like either just don't come in at all, and then it's like, all right, they weren't there, not out. But when you like dip your toe in the water and then run home, it's like, well, now
man, we really, really needed them against Spain. Let me tell you. Come on.
Next time it'll be better, right? That's how it goes. But you know what? The irony aside, good job for Venezuela. USA do better next time. So we'll leave it at that one.
Congratulations, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yes, once again proving that he is absolutely outstanding. Still one of the best players in the game at what he does, and he's very well.
Even with the injuries, he is still one of the best players all time.
Absolutely, he's outstanding. But that was going to do it here for the tip-off, which will now round us into the main event of our show. And for the main event, we are going to head to the hardwood, and the madness is here. We are talking March Madness officially in less than like 17 hours, whatever the math is from the time of the recording. We will be underway. Some final play-ins are underway right now. What we're going to start first is looking at this hellacious bracket, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty here in a moment. But first, the first 2 rounds are always where it's the most exciting. That's where you get a lot of those crazy upsets. That's where oh my gosh, how'd this happen? So, Kelcey, I'm going to let you lead the way. We're going to pick some upsets that we think could happen in this first round. So what's an upset you have your eye on as we gander at this round of 64?
Yeah, so I am going to start with North Dakota State over Michigan State as a potential first-round upset. I'm going big for the first one. I'm going a 14 over a 3. You look at this game and you wonder, man, what is the odds that this could be pulled off? And honestly, America doesn't like it. I think I'm one of 700,000 people to pick it, and the people that have picked Michigan State is like 13 million. So I'm not sure the percentage on that, but the odds of that is plus 1,000. And I'll be honest, how many of you ever picked UMCB to upset anybody in the first round? And if there's anybody that's going to be upset in my eyes, I look at Michigan State's team and I look at their faults, and it feels like they have the opportunity to get got. And it's not going to be a big run by North Dakota State, but it can be a run of at least one game to get them forward. So they won the Big Sky, Big Sky, and so I got to give them credit for that. I think Big Sky usually puts out pretty good teams, and I'm going to give them the opportunity this year to be my upset darling, my big upset darling, I should say.
Michigan State's really weird too, because they're super well coached. They're a great perennial powerhouse, but they do better when they're almost under the radar. When they're a top 3 seed, they almost seem like that's when they get primed to get upset way earlier than they should. Then when they're the 7th seed, they end up in the Final Four. So I always get leery when they're in those top 3 seeds, because we've seen them fall as a 2 seed not that long ago, if I'm not mistaken. Like they just feels like they do much better from the trip. They're a better hunter than they are hunted. Yeah,
the 2 through 4 seed is not friendly to the Spartans historically, and obviously they have won a title out of the 3 seed, but it's more often than not they get upset in the second round, first or second round, than they do anything else. So, and that 3 seed, I feel like every year one of the 3 seeds just blows it completely, and you're just like, what? Okay, I guess this is it. So I'm looking at the 3 seeds on the board, and I think they're the one that's going to be the most likely to blow it, because I think they have the toughest opponent out of everybody else.
I'm kind of glad that you picked that one too, because my upset I'm going to go with would be playing the winner of that upset. We're looking at Louisville versus South Florida. I think South Florida is very, very good. I think they're underrated. And the biggest thing with Louisville is Mikael Brown, their superstar freshman, is not going to be available. He's going to be out. He's averaging 18 points a game. He's going to miss this game. I think if he's healthy, they were primed for an upset. Now you take him out of there. I think it's like a 4.5 point spread as of right now. Yeah, we're grab the jackhammer. We're smacking that one. I think UCF is they're live in this one. They are very, very underratedly good. I don't know. Honestly, that's just the best way to describe it. They're very good. And I know Louisville's really good as well, but I think they're, like you talked about every year, there's those 3 seeds. There's always the 5 and the 60s. Those are a 12 over a 5 and the 11 over the 6. Those are every year we see those ones. Those are the hot picks for upsets. And I think that's very likely to happen this year as well. I mean, the UCF was 8th in the Big 12. I know that's not great. The Big 12 also had Arizona and Baylor and Cincinnati. They had some units they had to deal with. So that's part of the reason I look at it, where Louisville in the ACC, they lost some games that they really shouldn't have lost. So, we're going to take UCF with the upset over Louisville. That's going to be the first one I look at. So if both of ours come to fruition, 2 massive upsets going head to head or right afterwards in the East.
Yeah, I'm going to keep picking on the East bracket for a minute and with my next one, because I like that pick. I actually have that one as one of my long shot here board picks, and it's not that big of a long shot. But the other one I do have is Northern Iowa, the 12 seed over a 5 seed. Now you want to talk statistics? 35% of meetings with 35% of meetings with a 5 and 12 seed have resulted in the 12 seed winning. And it is at least one 12 seed has defeated a 5 seed in 34 of 40 tournaments. So all but 6, a 12 seed has defeated a 5 seed. I'm going to take my chances. Now this might be the bad one to pick. I'll be honest. I was just looking at one of the 5 and 12s, and I was like, you know what would be a funny one? And I just picked Northern Iowa. This was a coin flip, and this is, I do this every year. It's no surprise when I talk about a coin flip. But this is one that I look at as like, man, it's got to be. I don't feel like out of the other brackets, I don't think it's Texas Tech Akron. I don't think it's Vandy. Well, maybe it is Vandy McNeese. Maybe that's another one. But I don't think it's Wisconsin and High Point. But, so those 5 and 12s for me were just out of the picture. So I was down to 2, and I was like, all right, we're going Northern Iowa. I feel like if there's a team that's going to just randomly upset somebody, why not a team called Northern Iowa that plays in a dome that could have also been used as a football field, but they decided not to anymore. So yeah, give me Northern Iowa on this one.
So we're in the same page length, but we're going kind of in a very different way for my next one. You mentioned High Point in Wisconsin. Well, this is what I have to say to that one. Not so fast. As I disagree with that entirely. I am taking High Point over Wisconsin for my 12-5 upset. High Point's 5th in overall offense on the entire year. Wisconsin, they had a nice run through the Big Ten tournament. So Michigan did what Michigan does. I know Wisconsin had their moments. They got going down the stretch. That's really nice. I get it. In theory, it looks like they were in position to make a bit of a run. They had a lot of really close games. They had some not great losses as well, like especially recently, like Ohio State clobbering them, Oregon catching them. They've had, up until the Big Ten tournament, I think they were more positioned to be like an 8-9-ish seed, and then the Big Ten tournament gave them a bit of a run. And we see this almost every year, that one school that everyone kind of rolls away but is really good offensively suddenly hits like 19 threes, and it's like, I'm sorry, what? So I think High Point's going to hit their offensive highs in this game. So that's going to be my upset for the 5-12. I think, like you said, there's a couple 5-12s. St. John's is, I think they can get got to because they are elite defensively, but sometimes offensively, it's like the ball goes in the hole, guys. What are we doing? So I think that could get in trouble. Where with Wisconsin and High Point, it's the opposite. It's like, can you stop anybody? Can we play a little defense here? Nope, we're trying. They just don't miss. This MF don't miss. That's what I think this game could very well be. So that's where we're going to go with mine. And Kelcey, we got one more upset from you. I know you're looking through this. There's a plenty of them that you like, but you only get one more.
All right, I'm going to go with the other 5-12 that I was talking about because I did pick it. I am going McNeese over Vandy, and I do think that's another one. We all know McNeese has been the last couple years not in the last couple years, the last year, 2 years, I guess. Yeah, it's been 2 years. The darling of March Madness, and we all know their entertainment value. But yeah, I think this one versus Vandy, if you look at them defensively, McNeese is very, very good, and offensively, they're equal. It seems like that's a chance there. McNeese, if nobody knows McNeese, it's a Louisiana team. It's based in Louisiana, and they are very good. So that's where all the athletes come from. And be careful. I believe it's Indy. Man, I might be wrong anymore. It might not even be Louisiana anymore. But they're a Southern team. They get all the athletes that don't go to your big schools, your SECs, your ACCs. So, yeah, I'm going to take McNeese as an upset over Vandy, and nothing against Vandy, who is also Southern school, but you're a little too nerdy for me now, Vandy. So, go McNeese on this one.
I do like McNeese. I do think there might be a little bit of Vandy hatred in there as well, just a touch. Maybe not a lot, but there might be a touch.
I have nothing against Vandy in every other sport but basketball. I hate their basketball team, and it has nothing to do with the team itself. Purely everything to do with that stupid raised floor they play on at home. It's the dumbest thing ever. I hate it so much. But anyways, it actually doesn't have anything to do with this. It was just McNeese. I'm just, again, flipping a coin.
You know, I don't blame you. When it comes to that, I agree with you. But we're going to go with an absolute zinger out here. Idaho is taking on Houston, and I will not be taking Idaho, so that will not be my upset pick as well. That would just be silly at this point. Go Vandals, but I'm not leaning that way. I'm going to go with VCU over North Carolina as a potential upset, a 6-11, picking on the South Division yet again. VCU won their conference tournament. They were really good, and UNC. Yeah. They did beat Duke, which they do every year because like that's when we throw out the records, the rankings. But other than that, they have some good wins. They do have some good ranked wins. I'm not trying to sell them short, but they have some bad losses too. When you're looking back on their schedule, it's like, I'm sorry, you did what now? Like there's just a handful of moments where they very up and down. They were all right in the ACC tournament, but nothing to write home about. The loss to Clemson, kind of, I don't want to say devastating, but like you look at some of those losses down the stretch, they had some painful losses, and that one to Clemson, especially in the ACC tournament. I can see carrying over here, especially VCU, just another one where they could just randomly get out going. It's not like we haven't seen VCU randomly upset teams before. I mean, it's happened not very recently, but semi-recently. Like some people that watch this would remember. So give me VCU as a potential upset over North Carolina, who it's not the North Carolina we had watched. It's been a couple of years since they were truly a force of nature. So I think they can get clipped in this one, especially maybe looking ahead a little bit.
Yeah. And here's a statistic for you for that. Last time all number 6 seeds won their meetings against number 11 seeds in a single tournament was 2004. So guaranteed almost 1 6 seed is going to fall to an 11 seed. And I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be surprised if there was only one, honestly. Actually, no, I won't say that because I'll be tempted betting.
You did pick South Florida and VCU. So those are both 11 seeds. And to be honest, I did as well. So
it does say potential upsets down there, so I can't be held liable if somebody bets that and UCF gets absolutely clobbered. I will not be held liable for it. These are potential. I didn't bet them, but
if you play March Madness, or you put a bracket together and you get mad when people are talking about potential upsets, and you obviously don't understand March Madness and you don't understand the craziness of March Madness, if you get mad that somebody got an upset wrong. The whole point of March Madness is Cinderella stories. That's the whole point of it. Like, maybe if you're playing, it's a completely different answer. I'm not playing. Do I look like I'm playing? No. What I'm doing is I'm watching and trying to have fun. And I want every Cinderella story to happen. So I might pick a 16 over a 1. You're just going to have to suck it up if you're dumb enough to pick that. Bet smarter, not harder. Use our friends over at Outlier if you actually want to bet better. But I'm actually looking forward to the conversations and the comments once this is all said and done, though.
I will definitely be hitting some of those plus spreads for sure. And that's one thing I like about betting March Madness is some of those spreads are wild. So you'll see like plus 31. It's like, all right, I know Michigan's going to win, but I think they're going to win by 27, not 32. So sometimes you'll take that underdog to cover. And all they have to do is not get raked through the coals and walking barefoot on Legos and glass. As long as that doesn't happen, they'll cover in some cases. So that's where it's going to be fun. Maybe we'll throw out some bets tomorrow. Keep an eye on our socials for that. But we've talked about the early rounds. Now we got to get to where the fun happens. We're talking the Final Fours and who we think will be going to the championship. Kelcey, we're going to take a look at your Final Four and champion first. Go ahead and walk us through it.
Yeah. So walking through it, I mean, it seems pretty simple. Number 3 Gonzaga versus number 3 Virginia. On one side of the bracket, on the other side, you have a number 1 and a number 2 in Florida and UConn. I do think Florida's the better team against UConn. I like both of them. They both have great odds to win. But for me, I look at Florida as the better of the two. And on the other side, Gonzaga and Virginia. I don't trust Virginia ever. Even when they won a title, I didn't trust Virginia. But I trust Gonzaga to be a little bit more surprising. They have literally, for as long as I've been alive, been a contender every single year, or at least been competitive in the tournament. and this is a year they're a contender. And every year they're a contender, they make a run at it and either fall in the Final Four or fall in the Elite Eight. But they've recently been able to make it to the championship game. So I got Gonzaga versus Florida. And then in that game, it was a coin flip again. And I'm going with Gonzaga over Florida for this title.
Interesting. All right. I'm not as high on Florida, but I do love seeing the Zags pull it off, considering they've been a powerhouse for like a decade and it feels like they always have just been slightly short. There's like the time they were undefeated and they got absolutely obliterated by Baylor. So I think I'd be down for this. I'd love to see Gonzaga finally cut the net. And it'd be the first time since like 1998 a team west of the Mississippi won a title or whatever, however long it's been. So I'm all for it. It's time. We are due. Unfortunately, I did not follow suit with my pick. I did not do any of that whatsoever. Starting from mine, I got Arkansas coming out, going against Michigan. Darius is really, really good. Well, what he did in that SEC championship game, it was outstanding. I think players like that can do a number in March Madness, and they lock up as a full team. They're very well rounded. I'm not going to compare him to UConn and Kemba Walker because that's reckless, because that's an all-time run. But you can see like an adjacent version of that. Michigan can make the case as the best team. All-American power forward whose name eludes me at the top of my mind, but they're a unit top to bottom. They've been arguably, them in Arizona, the best team in the regular season all year. Everything you said about Vanderbilt, I took the exact opposite of it because I kind of don't love the way that division is laid out. I'm not huge on Florida, as I mentioned. I think they're right to get got. Houston, I think, is very good. I do wonder if just losing last year's championship by the skin of their teeth maybe comes back to haunt them a little bit this year. Like, just sometimes the demons of losing last year were so close too. Wasn't like it was literally a possession away. I just looked throughout that one. There's not a whole lot of firepower I see in there. Vanderbilt was really good in the SEC tournament. Honestly, if Arkansas and Cliff didn't go ballistic, they could probably be the SEC champions. And then Duke, Boozer's son leading the way, going to be a first-team All-American, potentially number one pick in the draft. And we already know Duke. Time in and time out, they're loaded top to bottom. I had them taking on Arkansas in the championship. I'm giving it to Duke. What's weird is since they just started becoming a powerhouse and winning championships in Coach K's early days in the 90s, this is the longest gap they've had between championships since the last time they won, which I think was 2015 with Jahlil Okafor and crew. So it's been about 11 years. They're very much due. I think they got the squad to do it. And if they get out of the East, I think they have some tough matchups in the East. When I look at teams like Kansas, you look at UConn, I think if they get out of it, they'll be in really good shape. Getting out of it's St. John's as well. Getting out of it's the story. Michigan State, if they can avoid upset alert and then just be randomly annoying. But I'm going to take Duke. I'm going to take a chalk pick. Last year kind of let us down with not nearly as many upsets as we'd like. So this year I'm being a touch more cautious, and in other cases a lot more reckless, like Vandy and Arkansas. But the other two sides, we're going to be a lot more cautious throwing in some one seeds because something tells me NIL is going to keep a lot more of the chalk picks chalky, if that makes sense. There's not going to be quite as much spread. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping we get the upsets galore. I hope my bracket gets destroyed in a USNBC or something like that ends up in the national championship game. So I'm hoping that – actually, no, my bracket stays safe, but everybody else's gets destroyed with upsets. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I was like, we want the $1 million winners.
All right, but if I'm not going to get the $1 million, then I hope everyone's gets absolutely obliterated. I hope Idaho ends up there taking on Tennessee State or something outrageous that just throws everybody for a loop. But we're gonna go down from college basketball. We are gonna go to the association. We got some big news. The NBA expansion vote is coming up next week. There's rumors they're going to bring back the Sonics and a team in Las Vegas, because we just have to have a team in freaking Vegas, because that's not a conflict of interest and it hasn't been an issue, but I digress. It's fine, whatever. They're going to vote on it next week, so right after next week's show. All intents and purposes, it does sound like there's a good chance that it happens, which, finally, thank you. We shouldn't have been without the Supersonics in the first place. But the reason I want to bring that up is the rumor was if it does get approved, they're going to have to obviously realign conferences because you're going to have two new teams, and they're going to both be in the West, which means we're going to have to figure out how to split this up. So we know they're going to have Vegas team here. At this point, it's just going to be the Las Vegas illegal gambling team here. And then up here, we'll have the Supersonics, which means we got to send two teams to the East from the West, which in theory, draw the line right here. So you send over Memphis and the Pelicans. This is the way I look at it. Basically use just around the Mississippi's line, which means the NBA is going to do something absolutely wacky and send the Mavericks over there or something stupid. But I'm excited. I hope they don't screw this up. Bring back the Sonics, bring in whatever they do with Vegas. Fine, bring in a Vegas team. At least it's whatever they got to do, I guess. But I'm excited for this, and I'm curious to see how they're going to split these conferences. If they put Minnesota in the East, though, Yeah, I might be picking them to go to the finals next year. They're really, really good when it's healthy. So in theory, that would be fun. But the smart pick feels like it'd just be straight down the middle.
Yeah. As far as the teams coming back, yeah. Why Vegas again? It still feels dumb. We've all heard my rant on that. So, anyways, moving on. Bring back the Sonics. I've been saying that for forever. I'm a Kings fan who bought Sonics gear when the Kings got bought out and they were going to potentially be sold to Seattle. They didn't. I have Sonics gear that I can't wear right now. So bring back the Sonics so I can wear Sonics gear, please and thank you. As far as the realignment goes, I'm actually of the mindset of just taking Memphis and Minnesota and moving them over. And the biggest reason why is I think that upper Midwest area could use another team. Like Minnesota being there and there being a cliff after Minnesota to the next northernmost team in Portland. Like it feels very drastic going from Minnesota to Portland or Denver as your next closest team to them. So just move them in the East. Memphis is also in that. There's a very clear delineation of there are teams here and there are teams here and there are not teams here. Move Memphis across to the right, move Minnesota to the right, move Memphis into the Southeast, move Minnesota into create a new division. You'll have 4 teams you can put there with Milwaukee, Indiana, Chicago, and Minnesota now. And I think that's a lot more fun division. And then in the South, you have Memphis, Atlanta, Orlando, and Miami. Move Charlotte into a conference with DC because nowadays they're almost related. It's not perfect by any means, but if you're going to do this, let's not overcomplicate it. Like pick one of the two. I don't care if it's New Orleans, Memphis or Minnesota, Memphis, but one of those two needs just pick Memphis, one of those options. Don't be anything crazy. Don't pick the Thunder. Don't try to realign with bringing a team over. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do, but I feel like the NBA is going to do something crazy because that seems to be their forte, but we'll see. I mean, at least when they're split, the best thing about the NBA is while you do have divisions, they don't care. Like realistically, your division ranking doesn't matter outside of like close matchups, and then in division is a tiebreaker, and that's the only reason those divisions still exist. But yeah, I mean, that'll be easy. You can split it to 4 teams each in each conference, but I don't care about divisions anymore. Just make it East and West, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, just figure it out. Southeast, it feels egregious to have Memphis not in the East, considering it's Tennessee.
They got to be over there regardless. Like it just
I think we're in agreement. It is Memphis for sure. The next would be is it New Orleans?
I want it to be Minnesota for that same reason of that puts Anton at that in the East, and it kind of balances things a touch in theory on paper. Obviously, execution is different, but Minnesota's perpetually really good in the West. The problem is, like last year, the Thunder clipped them. A couple of years ago, they beat Denver, and who was it that clipped? I think it was the Mavericks that clipped them. Like they were right there, back-to-back conference championship games. I love them in the East. Have them going head-to-head with Cavaliers, if Giannis is still around, the Knicks, the Celtics. I love that. I just wanted to draw a straight line. Like my OCD kicked, and I wanted the straightest line possible. The Pelicans have been unusually good for the last 2 months. Surprised, like if they get into the play-in somehow, they're going to piss some people off for sure. I don't think they'll get in, but I love it. And what I do like about the NBA adding this, I know we complained about the Vegas thing, rightfully so. I do like how much balance across the entire map we see with teams. When you compare it to like the NFL map where there's the California teams, the Seahawks, and then just nothing for so long. Like all of it, because there's no Utah, there's Denver, there's no OKC, and then all the NFL teams are just clustered right here with like the 17 New York, New Jersey conglomerates. Mm-hmm. I do like how balanced this is going to look with a Vegas team. I don't love Vegas, but at least it's right there. Then right up here as well. So I do like how balanced we're going to have team spread, which what's going to suck is when Miami has to travel to Seattle and vice versa. Those are going to be some no back-to-backs for those that they give them 2 days off after that. None of that to BS. Let's not spike and kill anybody.
Yeah. Also, can we just talk about when are we going to get a team in that upper Midwest West area with that Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska area, Idaho? Like I feel like at this point in time, we need to have a team there. If we're going to do this, maybe if you don't want to put it in Vegas, just put it in that region, and you're going to have every person from those states combined into one location. The problem is you're probably still only get like 60,000 fans to tune in, which will still be a really big NBA game, but that's just how many people will be there. So I just look at this map and I'm like, man, there are a whole lot of cities missing here. Also, St. Louis feels very odd that there's not a team in St. Louis.
I'd be
So
down for
just
St. Louis. I don't think any
just
of
a
the players
random.
want to live in St. Louis, which I understand, but like they could make a team that bridge the gap a little bit. If these four combined into one super state and it wasn't 18 and a half hours to drive between towns, then we could absolutely go to like make a four corners team right here or
Hey,
something like that. No one wants to live there, but
this is where we put the high speed rail in.
well, now we're making sense. There's no room for that.
NBA teams can go in on an underground high speed rail, and now you're going from Missoula to Fargo in 4 hours versus, I don't know, what is it, 17, 18?
No, it's like 9. So maybe you'd be getting there in like 3 hours on the.
So maybe it's 2 hours. I'd still take it. I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Give me that train going all the way across. Then we'll be cooking with some fire now. But that won't happen. So you know what will happen though? Somebody will be named NBA Finals MVP this year, which means it's time for the NBA MVP tracker, the weekly countdown of who's going to win the MVP. And last week we had the same faces, but in different places. This week we're shaking things up because there's been a lot happening in the association. Welcome to the board, Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs are the second seed in the West right now, and they're probably going to win 60 games. They are 20-2 in their last 22, and one of those losses, Wemby didn't play it or something insane like that. He's already, you can make a very, very strong case for the best defensive player in basketball. He's able, the way they run the offense, he doesn't get as many opportunities as you would think, but then he still can give you 30 in a given night. He's absolutely sensational on an incredible team. Wemby's been outstanding. He makes his appearance on the MVP tracker. At number 2, a new meme. Custody battle Luka has been absolutely incredible for the last week and some change. They are, I think, 6-1, 6-0. He's averaging like 30, 10, and 9. He's been sensational. His defensive rating, eye test says he's a touch better, but the defensive rating, he's actually statistically has played a lot better defense during this time. He is catching fire just in time for the playoff run. Don't be surprised. They're in a strong position to be maybe the 3-4 seed as well. Like that little cluster with them, Denver, Minnesota, all of those squads with similar records, Houston, they have all those tiebreakers right now. The Lakers have got, this is going to be weird to say, but since it's been clearly Luka 1 and Austin Reeves has kind of been the second option with LeBron just fitting in as needed, they've been dangerous. Where LeBron's like, all right, if I need to get 15 tonight, I'll get 15. If I need to get 30, I'll get 30. I'll dive on the floor for a loose ball and throw some Ben Gallman because that absolutely hurts at 40. That hurts at 31 years old, let alone 41 years old. I think the Lakers are very dangerous, and Luka is leading the way. The last couple of weeks, he has been absolutely sensational, but still holding to the top. SGA still holds a top spot, is on pace. He's about to lead the NBA in scoring for the 4th consecutive year. Best team in basketball, best record. Defensively, he's outstanding as well. Not quite Wemby, but arguably the best scorer in the game. Outstanding defender. He's been doing it without J-Dub pretty much the whole season. He's missed like 48 games or something insane like that. Maybe the number that's a little embellished, but SGA has been awesome, continues to be awesome, and he's outstanding in those big games like we mentioned last week against what he had that big game against Denver to propel them over the Nuggets. So here's what we got for the NBA MVP tracker for this week. A nearly perfect list, and unintentionally a very nice angle when you look at their names too, where it goes up perfectly. It's like raising the bar.
That is I don't know. I don't hate the list, but I wouldn't have picked out the stair-stepping reason as why I like the list.
It wasn't a plan until just now when I saw it. Now I'm happy with it.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5, a very, but it's better than the other 2 numbers that could have been there after 5. So we're good. But yeah, I something about Luka right now is, I'm not going to talk about his personal life, but it is kind of crazy that this dude is as good as he is right now. And I talked about it last week. I did think he was a guy that should be on this list, and even Wemby was a guy that you could have conversations about being on this list. And no, guess what? Surprise, they're here. But yeah, SGA, of course.
He's very well on pace where it looks like he might end up taking back-to-back MVP awards. He's very much it's looking awfully good for him. We'll see if it holds on. There's still plenty of basketball left, and as we mentioned, Luka isn't on an absolute tear right now, so I think he could very easily find himself in that spot. But that's what we got for the NBA MVP trackers. We head into the finals home stretch of the season. Let us know down below who you all have for your NBA MVP, and that's now going to take us into Kelcey's favorite part of every show. That is, of course, crunch time. And for crunch time, as there's been an unintentional theme recently, we're going to talk about combat sports to start things off a little bit, because the rivalry that I didn't know that we had or needed, but we have, Ronda Rousey versus the UFC. Is it legit or is it laughable? The question is kind of a little bit of both. We're going to pop up this here tweet from Ronda Rousey with Nate Diaz signing to fight on the same Netflix card as her and Gina Carano, which we talked about, as well as Francis Ngannou and Felipe. Now you're going to throw in Nate Diaz on there against Mike Perry. And This is the part that I really wanted to highlight. P.S. Hunter Campbell pissed off the wrong B word. I'm coming for your job, MF. I don't know why I censored those because you can clearly read them, but I'm not getting my mouth washed out with soap. But what I thought was interesting is part of that press conference included her lambasting the White House card, lambasting how it is being run and completely roasting fighter pay, among many other things. So it's kind of interesting to see. And then I'm coming for your job. Netflix has literal FU money where they can do stuff like this. Lots of organizations in the past have tried to compete with the UFC. They'll take these older name value guys and just kind of have those one-off big events. Netflix has so much extra money because it's the largest platform not named YouTube on the internet, arguably. They can do whatever they want. I think that makes this very, very interesting. What I thought was what I'll also jump in is just the other perspective coming from Sugar's Sean O'Malley, current UFC bantamweight, pointing out how it is kind of crazy. They have issues. So it is curious that the UFC has all of these issues with these big name fighters like Conor McGregor, John Jones, Ronda Rousey. It is weird. Why do they do that? But at the same time, where would they be without the UFC? Could they have been successful in other ventures? Yes. Would it be the same? Tomato, tomato. Well, then again, Sean O'Malley did say without the UFC, he would probably be a porn star, his word. So pound of salt there. But I do think what's interesting is the amount of beef that is coming with these big names. Like we remember Ronda Rousey and the UFC, the joke was Dana White privilege when it came with Ronda Rousey, as well as other fighters included here. So I'm interested to see how this plays out because this will be a one-off really good event. It's free on Netflix. It's going to get a butt ton of viewers. There's going to be, it outdid the UFC, all of that. You have the big names. Francis Ngannou's going to kill this poor guy. I feel bad. He's solid, but that's not fair. Nate Diaz and Mike Perry's going to be, it's going to be hilarious. Then Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey is what it is. So I'm really curious to see where this beef goes because she does make some very good points about fighter pay. And now if this actually does take off and fighters can get paid more money, let's say Netflix sees this as a reasonable endeavor where people can get paid lots of money. That makes it interesting moving down the line when, say, a few fights down the line, you have somebody like, we'll say Ilia Topuria, because his contract comes up and he's like, you know what, I want to get paid this much. And the UFC's like, we're not giving you an NFL quarterback contract. Then he wanders over and goes to fight on Netflix, who, as we mentioned, FU money out the you know what. You look at someone like Islam Makhachev, once their contracts come up, or Alex Pereira, not so much. He just signed an 8-fight deal. So that one's out the way. He's not going anywhere. And he's way too old that fight out that entire 8 fights. So that one's different. But you could see maybe some of these guys that make it aim in the UFC, now they have a lot more bargaining power, which I think is going to be very interesting how this plays out since UFC no longer has the pay-per-view points part of the negotiation where they beg, yeah, but you can get pay-per-view points if you do this, that, and the other, which you have basically, to use a salesman line when they offer you a sales job, unlimited earning potential. That's kind of out the window now with the Paramount deal, but this is going to be interesting. I'm curious. I kind of hope it works because that does make it interesting where fighters have the ability, but I'm also worried that we won't get nearly the same matchups if people are going to different organizations. And the concern is if this is built like this, where it's going to always be these one-off weird fights with old legends. Like they contacted Anderson Silva about fighting. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of busy because he's trying to become a cop right now. So it kind of interfere. And he's 50. We don't no more MMA for Anderson Silva. He's 50. Give him like one more boxing fight and call it a day. But this is interesting. This I did not have Ronda Rousey and UFC beefing on my bingo card, considering they were two peas in a pod during her initial run. But something definitely changed. And to be a fly on the wall, I want to know what happened here with P.S. Hunter Campbell. You pissed off the wrong B word. I want to know exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think this is great for combat sports. If I'm being honest, I think this is a great situation because we've always seen the best production from a sports league come when a competitor comes in and tries to shake it up. I think the NFL got better when the USFL came around. The NFL got better again when the new spring football leagues came around. The NBA got better when the ABA was competing with it. The Major League Baseball got better when Dixie leagues and other independent leagues, the Negro League, were getting more eyes on it. You know, the sports world needs competition. If you don't have competition, it just allows for a monopoly and you can do whatever you want, and especially with the way the UFC treats their fighters as more of a W-2 employee than they treat them like an athlete. And I think that's something that
they're contractors. They're legal contractors.
They're 1099s. They're 1099s that are not necessarily treated like a 1099. It's like your most toxic office job, except for you're not guaranteed to have that job for longer than your contract. So, I think it's going to be a good thing. And I think combat sports are weird because they've always been transitional for leagues. Like you always have Premier One or whatever it is, Pride One.
FC.
Yeah, Pride, and you have all the other leagues, like all the other combat divisions that are overseas and things like that have their own following. That you've seen athletes or fighters walk from one to the other with zero issue. And I think this is different though because it's on American soil. Like you're in the UFC's backyard fighting them for a Netflix deal, and I think that's a huge thing. Like you said, there's money out of the what for Netflix to pay for this. So I don't know. I like it. Obviously, yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens with it. But yeah, I think this is a really cool situation for future of combat sports in America.
What'll be curious is, so they're right now, this one's being promoted with Jake Paul's MVP promotion. So I'll be curious if this is something he's pursuing, if he's going to be able to handle it if it does start to work, because being a promoter of a combat thing, a lot have tried, very few have fully succeeded long term. So it'll be curious if he's handling that, if he's the face of it, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Going to be curious if this transitions into a boxing thing where like boxing has how many organizations? Several, 5, 6. Nobody cares about the organizations. They don't care about the promoters. They care about, oh, this dude's fighting. So I wonder if MMA could take a turn like that, which is better for everybody, except for that can make it more difficult to make matchups. Like we saw Manny and Floyd. How long did it? We saw that one almost 10 years after when it was supposed to be done. Apparently, we're going to see it again 20 years after. So hopefully MMA doesn't get to that point.
No, and the purpose of the Paul promotion situation, I think that actually is a better thing that he's the one, like it's his team leading it, because say what you will about short term, internet famous people, they are one of the best marketing geniuses in current everyday America. And the Paul brothers, as much as you love them or hate them, good or bad, they're in the news. Like they are there. They are making billions of dollars for their supporters, for their partnerships. It is what it is. And I think this is Netflix realizing that, and it's maybe Ronda Rousey realizing that, and UFC still being behind the times. We've talked about this with baseball before too, where it just feels like they're not open to the new modern media, which is podcasts, which is shorts, which is TikTok, Instagram. Like that's modern media, and being able to be impressionable to a younger generation is what the Paul family and the Paul promotion does. But yeah, I think it's really good for him that they're teaming up with him, and whether he can handle it long term, I think he just hires people, right? That's the kind of how it always works. You make enough money, you just hire them.
That's going to be the smart thing, is if he's just the face of it and there's actual people running it behind the scenes that run all the logistics, everything that goes into it, then
don't
I think
be Dana. Just don't be Dana.
Don't do that. That's gone off the wire. And don't recruit the Nelk Boys to be your promotional podcast situation. Don't have Prime as the leading sponsor. Like there's a lot of issues, but either way, that's enough about the combat sports. I'm excited to see it. But Kelcey, we're going to touch on some jersey reveals because this is your specialty when it comes to jerseys.
Yeah, I love jerseys, and the World Cup is coming up, so we all have that in mind. We just talked about Team USA Pride for baseball. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about it for soccer, football for those non-Americans. Great jersey releases. Let me be honest. I think as much as I don't love the wave and the red, white, or the red and white stripe, I like the cream and red. I think that's a really nice effect. I like the navies with the silver jerseys. I think they're fantastic. I do have one complaint though, and this has bothered me, and DJ, you and I talked about it. It's why is Jordan not sponsoring a USA jersey? They sponsor a Brazil jersey, and people are gonna be like, oh, history. Oh, it's all this. I don't care. Give me a USA jersey. I want a Jumpman on this jersey right here, on this kit, because you're an American company. It is a battle of the countries this summer. I don't want you supporting another nation. I want you supporting my team, my country. Give me a Jumpman. But I do like these kits. I really do. I did see a picture where they had the number font. I don't know if I'm sold on the number font. The number font's a little bit weird. It almost looks like a race car font, but I do like the kit. I think that's a very savvy kit, and I'm just glad they didn't screw it up and put like white shorts on this with a cream when they have cream in the top. They've done that before where I'm just like, that just looks awful. But the Navy jerseys, the away kits that go with these are also very, very nice. I really like them. The Navy is it's a dark navy with silver stars, which is really cool. And it brings the kind of motif of what we're trying to do with America, right? We're trying to represent the stars and the stripes. Well, guess what? One jersey is literally the stripes and one jersey is literally the stars. Not as cool as the denim 94s, but you know what? I'll sacrifice. Not as cool as the red pride sash of 2010, but that's okay because I still love these in their own right. But I do just wish Jordan would finally step up and look. I know we're not the women's national team, okay? I get it, but give the men's just U.S. Soccer Federation. Give them a Jordan jersey. Just give them a third kit that's a Jordan kit. I don't care if it's not like an official home or away. Give it a third kit, just for me. I want to put it on my wall behind me. I hate seeing it that Brazil gets it and no other country. And I'm like, I get it. I get the legendary history part of it all, but no, you're again, Phil Knight. Come on, man. American born and bred. And this is, I am not a big patriot when it comes to a lot of things, but when it comes to competitions between countries, support your home country. Germany has Adidas. Come on. Follow suit. Honestly, they could have Puma and it would still be a German company. That would be fine. Umbro was a England sponsorship because Umbro was based in England for so long. This is like, come on. This is an easy sell. You would sell so many more. And we talk about how hard it is to get soccer to the general public. Maybe make the jerseys be something they want. Give me a pair of 9s or 10s or 11s that are red, white, and blue, and give me that kit on top of it. I'm done. Sold. You just fashionized the U.S. soccer team, and that's something that hasn't been done before, and you get it in the mainstream media. We get real fans following soccer now. We don't just get soccer diehards. You get actual other American fans to support it, and it starts with something small like fashion and works its way into, hey, maybe I actually like this sport. That's how it always works, but don't listen to me. I'm just a podcast guy.
This would have been the year to do it, too. This would have been a nice year with it on home soil and everything. This was the year.
I'm telling you, man.
It's never too late. The best time would have been for this year, but the second best time is just any time coming up, too. But I mean, it has to happen, right? It's got to happen. You got to get those 11. You mentioned the 11s with the shit. Like you'll bring in a whole new audience.
Take your pick of a number 1 through 12 on a Jordan style shoe and just deliver. It's so crazy because literally, like going historically, Michael Bradley, Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley, Carlos Bocanegra, more recently Josie Altidore. These guys have all worn Jordan brand stuff off the pitch because they liked it. Because it's an American brand. And I don't get why you don't have to. I don't need you to make cleats. Just put it on a kit. That's all I ask. Just put the logo right here on the chest. Be stylish, be nice. Sell your own brand on the world's biggest stage where 220 million people will be watching one game. And you will have 4 times that in the next 6 games combined.
But we can't ever have the nice things we ask for. It's right there for the taking, and we unfortunately don't have it. But that was going to do it here for the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all so much for joining us here on this Wednesday evening, or if it's later on in the week. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next time.